So I have something different, and it's from the FloQast CFO app. So after years on the front line of companies like Google and Adobe, Razzak Jallow has said that he's happy to come back into the startup world at the California-based accounting software firm FloQast. So questionable whether that is still actually a startup, because though FloQast was founded in 2013, the software now employs around 800 people and has raised over $280 million from external investors to date. So interesting to see
How
that.
is that startup, eh?
I'm not really
How is that
sure that
startup?
tallies with my experience of startups so far. But then again, it's still, maybe it's somewhat of a pioneer in its approach, and that's what they seem to have pushed forward, is that they're pioneering their B2B marketing, having recruited people like Sherry Ottery and Kate Flannery and other big name actors in a comedy series called PBC, which was accounting speak for prepared by client, which was a passion project of the FloQast CEO. So the show had gone on to earn some mainstream recognition and ran for 2 seasons with maybe a third one on the way. It's like the Office version, but for the accounting market. I've never watched it. It might be worth a geeky look in now and again, but Jallow, more interestingly, he's come back into the market. He's really talking about the fact that accounting is not going away. And if you go back to look at the implementation of other tools like calculators, like spreadsheets, they never made accounting go away. So this pride around the phrase that we always laugh and joke about, by accountants for accountants, he sees that as more of a badge of honor to wear, because we're seeing shrinking talent in the field, and they're thinking about how they can maintain that talent pipeline as a vital part of the workforce, because AI tooling is really seen as the next step in the profession to accelerate those that are entering the field. And the fact that we see that there are more and more people who are in our industry reaching the end of their careers and retiring, but the business models now are becoming far more complex than they ever were. And we're seeing that case in point with the types of technologies that are coming out to service different elements of the problem. There is a lot more demand on what an accountant should or shouldn't be in this day and age. And some of that extends, I think, a little bit further to even some of the roles that we spoke about in the previous podcast, where there's almost like a CFO-like role to some of the tasks that need to be done. And technology can really help in that. One of the things that they're thinking within FloQast at the moment and how they differentiate is they're talking about the difference between probabilistic AI and deterministic AI. And one of the things that they are looking to do is the automation level, so that they can do a lot more in terms of deciding how the workflow can be automated, or where it should be deterministic based on the task in hand. So they're spending a lot of time building the AI into the product for accountants specifically, and the actual output of the workflow is automating some elements where they know that there's a high amount of trust and that it will give the same answer every single time in a predictable and repeatable way. So I think a lot of people are saying that. I don't think there's anything different in what most people would say, but it's interesting to see that all-star kind of team, literally a bit of a star team, who are coming at this and looking at new ways to then really make that badge a bit stronger. So the by accountants for accountants, and looking at how they can introduce more innovation to the tech.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of deciding what to do based on deterministic and probabilistic. If I can't say it correctly, and I think that really leads into: is it going to carry out a task, or is it going to bring something to your attention for you to do it more effectively? I think that's how I would look at those two and how they should be treated. Deterministic, great, you can just do it. It's very clear. Probabilistic, this is likely to be what needs to be done, but we want to get that seal of approval to some extent from an experienced, educated party. And that, I think, for any AI development over the coming years, especially in the accounting side, is how I would, I guess, decide on those paths. Don't try and make probabilistic AI do everything. Just get a filter in place, an approval process that streamlines it and makes sure, or enables validation. And you can do that to some extent on review, which is what Xero's done with their bank reconciliation. They're essentially trying to make it easier. Like they'll do something and then flag to you, these are the things that need to be looked at. And Xero are definitely not at the end of that journey. And I know I've already been using it, given some feedback in this, and just the ease of viewing it. And I know lots of others have given their opinions on what should or shouldn't be turned on or off. So a bit more granularity. But it needs to be done. It needs to be brought into these process flows. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see what FloQast do with this.
Yeah, and just to clarify, so for them, they're leaning towards, and they have built something that looks a bit like a deterministic model, but I guess
Brilliant.
it's not. It's something that needs to be tested in anger. And for those of you that do know the show, PBC, there is no plan as yet to have a series 3, but never say never.
Cool.